get the team back up to a certain level?
Yeah, certainly. First coming in here, we knew it would be a challenge, and that's the exciting part of it. Everything starts and ends with makeup, and I think Coach and Terry have talked about that before. That's what we're about. There's a certain ethos, there's a certain quality of player that we're looking for, character traits. It starts with the college draft. The scouts are out there now, hitting the road, going to colleges, finding out, what type of players that these guys are, how they're wired. Free agency, same thing. We bring in a lot of guys that we have familiarity with because the makeup of the player is so important. And so we want to be a hard and a tough team, and it starts with makeup.
In the makeup and the background, how deep do you all have to go to get certain that this guy's going to make it, this guy can play and he can fit?
Yeah, it's a long process. Like I said, it really starts. It starts now and it ends in April, right before the draft. Day before the draft, we're making calls, just to confirm or, red flag any questions that we have on players. But the area scout is the most important guy in the building when it comes to the draft. Because of that, they know the player. They've talked to the guys that have been around him for 4 or 5 years.
What did you learn from intern in DC in 11? Y'all went through some quarterback transitions over that period. What did you learn that might be helpful here as you all are in another quarterback transition?
Yeah, I think it's no secret quarterback is the most important position, for any team. And you got to have the right guy. And we feel like we've got 2 guys that are made of the right stuff. And in another one, Felipe, who's got a lot of traits, physical traits. And we're working him obviously at another position as well. But, it's an extremely important position. And we're excited about where we're at right now.
How you guys reconstructed the receiver and edge rusher, those are pretty complete. Tear down. How do you go about that? Like, walk me through kind of what the process is.
Yeah, well, I think you're not really, when you're rebuilding a certain position group or you're there's so many different types of, at the outside backers, there's different skill sets. Wide receiver, there's different skill sets. You got big guys, long guys, twitchy guys, quick guys, inside guys, outside guys. You want to have a good mix, but the first thing is just the quality of the player. And how you're building that room is just, if you take good ones that you have a vision for, which we do with all of our wideouts, we have a clear vision for the guys that are in that room right now. Do we want to add? We want to add to every position group, but there's no exact science in terms of we sit down and we say we're going to get this guy, and this guy at these positions,
Going at receiver, you look at what you guys have done. There's been a lot of I know Arthur, it's discriminatory against height, but is that one of the metrics that kind of became important to you guys? And if so, why?
Yeah, well, I think it's it's about the fit, and it's talking with Arthur and Coach Ragone and about the offense and the skill sets that you utilize, right? And run after catch is huge, and you got to have guys that can play big, play physical. It's not going to be clean in this league. It's very rare that the separation in college, when you're watching a player, it's it could be 3 yards of separation. In the league, it's not that way. So you got to have guys that are able to catch contested balls, physical guys, tough guys that can play between the numbers, inside the hashes, make the tough contested catches. 3rd and 6 is 3rd and 6. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight, quarters, and you're going to have to make plays. So bigger, longer guys can do that, but that doesn't mean we don't want the speed and the twitch and the quicks. And there's elements to that, but you can't do everything in one swoop, you know what I mean? So we like where we're at with that position group.
Josh?
You mentioned the challenge that you guys had coming into the organization. How much of it all did you look back at other teams that were in the same position and what approaches worked and what approaches didn't?
Yeah, we clearly, yes, we did that. We looked at a lot of different scenarios, but really we wanted to come in first and evaluate our team, where we're at, who's on the team. What are the players that we have? What's the cap situation? How much is that affecting you moving forward? And really, at the end of the day, we wanted to evaluate it not just from the tape from previous years, but in our system with Arthur, with Dean Pease, and how do the players play under, the system now, and we got to find out what the players' makeup is and the character is within us, while we're working with them, and that's what we've done. And obviously there's some hard decisions that we made, in the off season and that, and it's just a continued process of bringing in the right guys and the guys that were, makeup and character. I mean, that's what it's about.
Is there a way to do it? Did you come to the conclusion that this is the way it needs to be done, or is every situation so unique that you just have to navigate it?
You do have to navigate as you go. We have a philosophy in terms of, which I won't get into, in terms of, our process and how we go about player evaluations, gathering players, acquiring players, building the team, all those things that go into it. That is very what we believe in. But I think there's a lot, as you look around the league, all of you can see, there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of different ways to win. There's a lot of different ways to build. It's through the draft. It's through free agency. It's draft in terms of giving up picks and getting players that have played. And it's through the cap if you have a lot of money, or maybe you're strapped for cash. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways to do it. We believe in our process and what we're going to do and how we're going to build this thing. We're excited to move forward with it.
It seems like a big part of that process, at least this offseason, with the guys you brought in, was bringing in some veteran guys that are willing to be those mentors to the younger guys like the squad. Was that kind of like the focus for you?
Yeah, there's no doubt when you bring in a lot of rookies, and we have a lot of faith in the rookies. We expect the rookies to come in and be who they are and be leaders, but they got to earn their stripes, right? And when you bring in those veterans that have been there and done that, they have skins on the wall, it really helps to mold, hey, this is how you are a pro. Marcus Mariota and Dez, right? And this is how you work, and this is how you prepare. That is important, and it's in, it's part of the process that we believe in. Yes.
You use the word ethos, which Arthur and Terry both use. What does that mean to you?
It's makeup, it's character, it's character traits, toughness, work ethic, self-starter. You can go down the line. We want guys that fit that ethos, and when we're drafting a player, whether we bring them in free agency, like we said, we have familiarity. There's coaches, there's scouts that have been around these guys that we know who they are that we're bringing in, and that's very important because the way, you guys can feel it a little bit in practices that you've been around for a year. There's a tempo. There's, coach is going to get after you. And there's an expectation there. And if you don't fit that ethos, it's not going to be very long before you're gone, and that's why the process is so important and thorough in terms of the guys that we're bringing in and how we go about the investigation of those guys.
In that evaluation, is there a literal checklist, or is it just a situation of when you see it?
In terms of the makeup?
In terms of the makeup.
Yeah, there is a checklist. It starts with our scouts, the road scouts, or they have a checklist, and that's what you're doing. Now you're talking to coaches and people at schools, or if it's in free agency, you're making calls to people that you know as well. But you're trying to find out, and some of it you have to feel it yourself. If I'm on a school call, they might not tell you exactly what you want to hear, but you got to get all the information and be like, okay, yeah, he checks this box, he checks that box, and then obviously it goes to the off season. Now we get our hands on him, we can interview him, we can meet him, we can be around him. But as you guys know, you meet somebody for an hour, they can con you, you know what I mean? But so it's more important to have all those people that have been around guys for a long time to know exactly who they are.
When you're talking about the decision, you think the room, the decision you're involved in, how big is that room versus maybe some, you were watching for a while, how big is that room versus maybe some of the other spots?
Yeah, I think at least for us, we have we want everyone, we're all inclusive, we want everybody involved. We have the pro guys involved in college draft, we have college guys involved in the pro in terms of the growth. Sit in the meetings, listen to it, and observe it, you know what I mean? As far as the college draft's concerned, we got coaches, scouts, everybody's in there having the person who's speaking is the most important person in the room at that moment. Everybody's going to have a shot to pour your guts out. But then from there, obviously, Terry, myself and Arthur, we kind of read through everything that we just went over, and then Arthur and Terry, it's their job to get behind a closed door again and make the decision, hey, this is the route that we're going.
Kyle, Coach Smith said, hey, build the line, you don't necessarily need one of the first rounders. Could you expound on that? We've seen it both ways. You know,
Yeah.
different lines versus tackle lines.
Yeah, and I think.
And on the defensive side, what are y'all's thoughts on building that?
Right, yeah, and we've been around it, like, you know, for where I've been in Washington, our defensive line was pretty good defensive line. There's a lot of resource put into that, you know, a lot of first-round picks, if you will, and but I think on both sides of the ball, again, there's no one way to do it. There's no one right way. It's about utilizing your sources well and picking the right guys. You know, you can sit there and spend first and second round picks on offensive linemen, but if you miss on one, it doesn't do you any good, right? You know what I mean? So it's about finding the right guy, and you can do it a lot of different ways. You've seen other teams do it a lot of different ways. So I can't sit here and say, hey, I believe in first round picks for offensive line and defensive line. No, I think you can find them in a lot of different ways.
There's a 53-man cutdown coming across the league. How much are y'all as a staff looking at other cuts that are being made across the league and maybe perhaps bringing some guys in?
Yeah, that's the big part of the pro department at this point, you know, and that's what we're doing now. We're separating the teams, divvying up the teams amongst our pro staff, and some of our college guys will help out as well. And you're taking all the bubble, we call them the bubble guys, that we think have a chance to get cut. We're evaluating them, obviously, from past, you know, I know a lot of the guys from the college stuff, but we'll watch the preseason, we'll evaluate those guys, and then if there's any opportunities for us to, you know, to upgrade our roster, we'll do that.
Is there ever, like, I don't know, slow season for you guys? Like, what's the busiest and I guess what's the slowest part of the year for you guys?
Yeah, well, the summer here just came off of it. You know, this year I took a break this year, and it was like, you know, not do anything, you know what I mean? Like, not do anything this year, which was fun. My golf game was atrocious, though. Like, it was the worst. It was the worst it's been, and it makes me sick. But, like, I couldn't get off the tee. I got, like, the yips off the tees. But anyway, I took a month, you know what I mean? Really, in the summer, you take that month to really just not do a thing. Try to not do a thing, but it's hard because the draft ends. 3 weeks later, you know, me, Anthony Robinson, Dwan Jones, we go down to Blesto meetings and we get the list for this year's draft. So now it's boom, turn the page, and now we're at it again. But you try to. That's the slow is this past month, you know, leading up to this. Don't do anything, relax. I got home, saw my family in San Diego, and so that was the only time. Other than that, though, it's rolling.
So is the busiest then the draft or?
I mean, it's busy the whole. Yeah, I mean, you know, postseason, obviously February meetings. It's busy, but I think that's the exciting part. You know what I mean, for us as personnel guys. Once you get past the season, it's like, okay, let's go. You know what I mean, but. I mean, from this point on, I mean, it's constant every day. We got workouts, got guys coming in. We're evaluating, getting ready lists, talking to agents. Ryan Pace, Rob Kissel, they're handling that part. Hey, getting guys lined up, then evaluating those guys, bringing them in. So it's nonstop. You know, it's rocking and rolling.
What's the feeling like when a guy like Anthony Rush makes a play last year? Y'all brought him in,
it's always, you know, it's always good to find, you know, that's what we're doing. You know, you're just doing the best you can to continue to churn the bottom of the roster, you know, and it's a competitive atmosphere out there. Coaches built that, but it is gratifying when you find a guy that, you know, was cut somewhere else and he comes in here and he plays pretty well for you. But that's what our job is you got to turn over every stone and do the best you can to find guys that fit us. You know.
All right, guys, thanks.
All right, good. All right, see you guys. Thank you.